Okay. Hello and welcome to Drunks and Dragons Random Encounters. I am your booking master, Tim Lanning, and joining me this evening is Jennifer Cheek.
Hello, everyone.
And Michael, Sexy Steve Demorrow.
Hey, you're not supposed to bring up our secret
You're running
code names to
G-chats?
each other.
Are these your running G-chats to each other?
I don't know what
personal.
you're referring to. You just bleep that out. Just bleep that out.
Personal.
Just bleep that out. We are here today to read the Companions by R.A. Salvatore. Where
I bet he doesn't say his name like that.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. It's book one in the Sundering, which is the hot new. It's not so new right now. Event taking place inside of the Faeruniverse.
Oh.
Faeruniverse.
I heard it when you were workshopping that joke earlier.
You guys think
So
I'm less
happy
funny
for
because
you.
I go through everything and I'm like, we're gonna do this, then I'm gonna say this, and so.
But Tim, random encounters. I thought that we played D&D during random encounters.
We've only played D&D once during random encounters.
That is actually a good point, but usually we do play a game.
So we're like, hey, fuck it. And we're gonna have to have fun stuff here in the random encounters feed, you know?
Yeah.
Things that are on brand, but also maybe a little bit different.
So we thought a book club would be nice.
Relevant to your interests. That's the random encounters way.
And we're not saying that there's not going to be any more games.
But Tim, does this mean there won't be any more games?
Michael, I don't want to be the guy to say it, but we're going to have games so soon. Not just games, something that the Kickstarter people helped us do.
They paid.
Finally is going to happen.
It's like the last. No, there's two more.
Three things.
Oh, three.
Yeah.
Oh, there is one more thing. I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay. It's manageable. We'll get to it. We promise.
We got to finish my Kickstarter
Yes.
one. We probably won't ever.
No, we will. I have my notes for it still. I was just looking at them.
Yeah. Okay, well, we can do that. And then we have the Shadowrun and the Serenity.
So who knows what will be next?
I wish we
we
could-
do.
So,
We know.
Yeah, I wish we could take a poll.
I know. I mean, we
I know.
scheduled it. We have an email thread.
Yeah, that's what I was
we
saying.
do.
We know what it is.
We know
but
what it
you,
is.
the listener,
We
do
know
not
what it
know. It's a surprise.
Yeah.
I guess.
Also, I wish there was a way that we could poll our audience and be like, please release us of having to do Serenity so that we can do either Star Wars The Edge of Galaxy one or the Game of Thrones.
Oh, I feel like we can make that happen.
I don't know if they can't do shit to us. We can all agree to that, right? But
guys, it'll be better this way. we decided that in a I don't know, a frenzy. It was a mistake, I think.
the Serenity tabletop game is mired in legal troubles, so there's no way to get it. But we have it.
Right.
That sounds like an admission of guilt. Maybe that needs to be struck from this podcast.
No. I found it in the woods.
It was a little waterlogged.
Yeah.
Number one, what were you doing in the woods?
I have to go on
There
walks.
are barely woods in where we live.
Now that I don't have a job, I have to get my steps
Oh my
in for my
gosh.
Fitbit
What-
that still works.
What
so I have
else
to
are
go
you
to the
even
woods.
finding in the woods these days?
Woodsy stuff, you know.
Did you guys ever, find porn in the woods?
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, definitely.
Why do woods all have porn
Wait,
in
were
them?
you guys talking about this already?
No, me, you, and someone else was talking
So
about
this is really a thing. I just
Yeah.
thought you guys were kind of making it up.
No.
Woods porn. Why?
You find
No.
woods porn.
I didn't
I don't
find
know,
any
there's
porn in
people,
any woods
I
ever.
think people stash their porn in the wood. Okay, first of all,
That is
I don't.
intense.
This must not happen anymore, right? Because there's
Right.
the internet now.
Well,
They stash it in their hard drives.
I always felt it was homeless people, and then they would keep their porn in their house, which was the woods.
We didn't have homeless people where
Oh!
I was from.
Oh yeah, because Florida.
Yeah.
Guys, this is not at all a book.
This
club.
was random.
Oh no, that was it. That was the.
All right,
episode.
thanks, guys.
Next week.
All right, we did
God.
it. Stop yelling at us.
I hate I hate all of us so much, so
No.
very much.
Okay, guys. Let's just get right down into it. The Companions.
Mhm.
How the heck did you like it?
So, what did
Well,
we read this week? Chapters 1 through 5?
6.
1 through 6. I liked it.
Prologue plus Drizzt's emo middle part.
diaries?
His emo diary. And then up to chapter 6, The Chosen. So
I mean, do we need to go into the history of these characters first, or do we just want to talk about?
Well, I think we should talk about what we thought about it vaguely at first,
Okay.
and then
General description. Well, I will say that I know nothing about this other than I know Tim loves Drizzt.
yeah, my main man.
He talks about him. I know that he's a drow,
Mm-hmm.
and that's literally the only thing I knew about the series before I started reading it. And there were definitely some moments of me being like, I don't know what this is talking about. I think this is referencing something from a previous book, but I was not terribly confused. So if you're wondering, like, I've never read any of these before, I don't know if I can read this, I think you can. And I enjoyed it, what I read so far. The characters were interesting.
I found the prologue to be very boring
Yeah, I agree.
and
What was in the
confusing,
prologue
and I
again?
didn't like it.
That was the little girl.
See, I loved that. I thought that was awesome. Like, I thought it was super
I was
interesting.
like, what is happening? I'm falling asleep.
Yeah, it was also really confusing because it's like, am I supposed to keep up with these years? Am I whatever? And then I finished the prologue in bed next to Jennifer, and I just erupted laughing, and I was like, this is gonna be a long book club.
I didn't see that. I think it's so funny that you guys who actually like know a little bit of what's going on that it was boring or weird, and I was like, this is interesting.
Yeah,
So
I had no idea what was happening.
I was nervous
well,
that
see, I just assumed I wouldn't know what was happening, so I was like,
just, like, roll the punches.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll find out later if it's important.
I was nervous that this is gonna be a story of here's the light-skinned savior
Oh,
of these darker-skinned
yeah.
people, and then
I do always get nervous in fantasy books when there's like vaguely Arabic or like other ethnic quote unquote groups of people. Like,
Yeah.
don't do that thing you do fantasy books. Don't do it.
yeah, you're making up a world of cerebellum and goblins. You don't have to copy tropes.
Yeah, don't do it. But I don't think it's doing that.
No.
From what I see so far.
Now, Michael, how did you like the rest of the section we've read so far?
So then I got super into it after the prologue.
Success.
I got, and then like I read actually chapter 7, which I wasn't supposed to, and I felt guilty, and
No
I
spoilers.
stopped.
No spoilers.
But I like kept reading. I was like, I gotta keep. I'm gonna keep going.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's one reason why I like the concept of mentioning how awkward that I also found the prologue to be, because it ends strangely and you kind of have to push through it.
Right.
But it's also kind of setting up the mysterious nature of, I guess, everything that's going on. Maybe, I don't know.
I just like the like creepy little girl thing a lot. Like, where
Yeah.
it's like she's like too old for her body.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting.
Right. And we, I guess for those listening, we'll do this in stages since this is the very first episode. This part, spoiler free, this is just to wet your whistle to see if you want to be a part of the book club. Mm-hmm. And I know you want to, because you can win one of our beautiful copies of R.A. Salvatore's The Companions, and beautiful hardbound. We were given these.
Also, it's been hanging out in mine and Tim's house for
I just like it.
a little bit, so
I just
Yeah,
like
it's
it.
got their musk on it.
it's got our musk and like our dead skin cells all over it.
My nose has been running a lot, and it almost dripped on the book,
Oh, that's really gross.
but
Wow.
it didn't.
Yeah, that's not.
Maybe whoever
Out
wins
of
it
the film.
will write you a little note in the book.
My DNA's in there.
I got you this.
I do have one of his books signed, so I could probably figure out how to copy it. Just kidding. Yeah.
That's what Nick got that for you.
He did. Nicholas did get
He's,
that for
he's
us.
a friend.
He's
a
a
good
friend in need. He's a friend indeed.
Yeah.
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 I
That's
also
right.
enjoyed this. It took me a while to get in, and I was really nervous that Jennifer, who's a fake geek girl, would hate it. And I
Well,
felt bad for.
How about that? Because I liked it.
Yeah, I felt
I liked
bad.
it more than you jerks did.
I don't know.
The prologue.
Prologue. Okay. Yeah, I probably liked it the least out of all of us, which is strange. But I liked it a whole lot, and I'm looking forward to continuing reading everything. But I liked all the sort of here's these new yet old warriors getting back together. Whatever happened in the past was the past. Let's see if we can.
They have a new mission.
New mission. So get the gang back together, the old companions. So.
And just, I don't know. So we don't want to talk about specifics yet, right?
Yeah.
Not yet. Well,
I guess.
how much more is left to be said overall, though, about this little chunk of the book?
Well, I mean, we don't. There's the whole conceit of what happens, and
Okay.
sort of like because that's an interesting idea.
Right.
What would it? You can imagine what would it be like to have that happen.
Right. I was so caught off guard by the reveal that I couldn't stop laughing, and I don't want to steal that. So how about this? Everyone, if you plan on reading it without and you don't want any spoilers, this isn't like a big deal. This is just like whatever. Then tune out now. But thank you for listening. The rest of it will be a book club style where we go through and talk about it.
Well, and I think let's do a little history first, because I do want to talk about the history of these people.
That is a good point.
Okay, I'll do that.
Do that after.
No. This is a great
Do it
time
now.
to do it.
You guys tell me things. Talk to me, because I don't know anything.
Okay.
I'm a dumb little baby. I don't know anything.
So there's been how many series?
How many Drizzt books?
How many Drizzt books?
About,
I don't know.
I'm assuming like
I read
30?
I read the first series, which was the Icewind Dale trilogy, back before it was a Drizzt book. It was actually supposed to be, Tim, a Wolfgar book.
Ah!
It's supposed to be, like, Wolfgar was supposed to be the hero. Then, to give you, and I read it when it came out in 1988.
Ah! That was amazing.
I could read in 1988, unlike you two.
I could not read in 1988.
What are you trying to say? No, I couldn't also do that.
I was an actual little tiny baby in 1988.
Yeah, I was a reborn. Yeah,
I was reborn in 1988.
So what you're trying to say is you remembered everything that happened and you only read the 3. You didn't read any of the other stuff.
I read the Icewind Dale trilogy. I believe I read the Dark Elf trilogy.
You technically read 1 through 6.
I may have read at least parts of Legacy of the Drow, but I think that's
you read it. You took a break, and now you're coming back to Drizzt.
20-something.
It's been like 1,000 years in world time.
Is it like a beautiful reunion for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean it's it's interesting.
I get that.
No.
And just to back to the whole the whole Wolfgar thing. This was like right when like a little bit after Rocky IV came out.
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure Wolfgar was supposed to be like a Dolph Lundgren kind of guy. Like he was a big, giant, blonde guy.
Yeah. Whenever I see him on the cover of books, he just looks like Thor, because he has that giant hammer, and he has big ass arms, and he's Norse as hell.
So I was like in love with these books when I was, a wee little lad.
When you were just a small child. Okay.
And I thought they were fantastic. I don't remember, because back then, Caddy Bree and Wolfgar were a thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then apparently, at some point after I stopped reading, she started tapping that drow ass.
Yeah,
Dang.
she got some mad drow action.
I mean, it's like inevitable though.
You got to. It's Drizzt. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck.
His poetry is so sad. And
Yeah,
beautiful
he's
that
so-
she couldn't help herself.
So I've read the first 9 or 10 books.
That really?
Yeah, I think
Wowie.
so.
I remember like when you were reading these, and I was not really into the D&D, and I was like, all right, Tim's read a D&D book. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And then I started playing D&D. Now I'm not judging anymore about these
Thank you.
things.
it's just so easy to read them because they just slowly go, and it's just Drizzt being like, I'm sad. Why is everything bad? And it's not that hard to get through all of it. I got to book 7. It looks like. Which was this? I finished book 7, and so what I had to do was I had to go through and then read the Wikipedia articles and figure out just what the heck is going on. So I did that, and do you guys want to know what happened? Like what catches up?
Yeah.
Like, here we are.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So basically, what happens is the Fellowship of the Drizzt got together, and then they helped Bruenor Battlehammer, the dwarf, the old red-haired, gray-haired dwarf, retake his old homeland, exactly. So that takes a while, and they go through all sorts of crazy adventures and meet crazy bad guys like Artemis and Trary, all of Drizzt's family, all this stuff.
Is Drizzt's family bad?
Oh my god!
That's how much I don't know about this.
Drizzt's family is awful. Yeah, the
only thing I know about Drizzt, about Drow in general, I guess now that they're bad and that they're matriarchal.
Matriarchal. They like to make sex.
And they live in the dark.
They're like super matriarchal though. Like men have no value whatsoever.
Yeah, and part of that's because the women are so incredibly strong.
That's
What do you think about this?
That's interesting. I don't know. I've never encountered a thing like this before.
Mm-hmm.
Except for me, because I'm very strong. I'm stronger than Tim.
So basically, Drizzt escapes from living in this matriarchal society. Him and his father. Well, sorry, I got ahead of myself. Him and his master of arms, which is his father, you find out.
I did not know that.
Zaknakfeen or whatever. Basically, they fight and they get super strong. And Zaknakfeen would only kill clerics of Lulth because he thought it was awesome. So, fast forward a couple hundred years. Drizzt now has escaped his family, and he lives in the Underdark by himself.
So just like in a different part of the Underdark?
Yeah.
Like away from his family. Like, I hate you guys.
And this is where a part of Drizzt called the Hunter awakens. The Underdark is so incredibly dangerous. You got to be like level 22 to even like walk around in there. You know what I'm saying? So Drizzt almost turns feral because his instincts are so sharpened and he's not around other people. All he has is his magic cat. Have you met Gwyndolvar yet?
He has a magic cat?
You don't know the magic?
He has a magic cat for real.
Like a big cat, not like a little one. I still love it though.
But it's a little figurine, right? And then the figurine turns into a real cat.
He has this onyx statue that he keeps in his pocket, and he throws it out like a motherfucking Pokeball.
That's awesome.
The Gwyndolvar comes out.
I love it.
Javier or something. I have no idea how to say it.
Javier. That sounds. I say Gwyndolvar, which I'm skipping.
Please help us pronounce things in these books.
And I definitely was skipping at least 2 syllables.
It's always fun when you're reading a book and you pronounce the word in your head a certain way, and then you go to try to pronounce, like, to actually pronounce it, and you're like, wow, that's, like, so wrong, like, the way I've been saying it, and I can't say it correctly.
Yeah, book 1 tries to throw as many words at you that you're not going to be able to understand as possible, and that gets pretty difficult. So, that's where that bit comes up. Eventually, he fights his zombified father again and kills him, throws him some acid. He kills an entire den of mind flayers. He makes a friend with this guy named Clacker, and he gets murdered. Fast forward, he frees. He's supposed to go attack this. This happens earlier. He's supposed to attack a surface elf camp, but he lets a girl go. That girl almost kills him. I think he might have sex with her.
How much sex are in these books? This is important.
None. Pretty much none.
Oh,
yeah,
bullshit.
0.
I'm out again.
Yeah,
I'm done. I'm not reading
it's
this.
implied.
It makes me angry when fantasy books don't have sex in them. It makes me upset because I want to read it.
All right. Yeah,
there's a lot of like people stabbing people.
Yeah,
see,
there's that for days.
That is
days.
silly.
Yeah, there is sex in the first book, where a demon makes love to a high priestess of Lolth, and it's fucked up. Because then I googled what that demon looks like. I'm like,
It's scary.
And then and all the
Not
dudes,
humanoid.
Vaguely. And then all the dudes are like rewarded by completing the academy by being allowed to have sex with the rest of them. So yeah, the dark elves are like way into slavery and sex and just murder. So yeah.
And spiders.
And spiders, because their god is Lolth, the Spider Queen. Whatever. Okay, so fast forward, they take back Mithril Hall, which is Brunor's place. Basically, Drizzt goes on this sojourn for like hundreds of years after he finally
How
leaves.
long does he live?
Well, dark elves live for a really long
Like
time.
1,000 years? Or like 10,000 years? Just indefinitely unless someone
know.
stabs them?
Well, there's two things. One, elves live hella long. Two,
Right.
Mielikki loves Drizzt and his friends, so they all got to be crazy old. Because humans live for like 60 years, 70 years.
So it's like as if a character in D&D was like level 20.
Yeah.
Or something. Like really up there.
Yeah, 22.
They're like god level.
Right. So they all go on their adventures. Drizzt immediately has so much angst. He eventually finds himself to be a ranger for the goddess Mielikki. And then he slowly but surely makes a name for himself. Because for the most part, he's just wandering around the surface world. And he can't even get in.
Drow not even supposed to be able to, like, stand the light and stuff?
Yeah. Does he...
He doesn't like it, but...
does he just travel at night?
in the beginning, he does. Yeah.
Does he have a special ring like in the
He
Vampire
gets used to it, I
Diaries?
think.
He has a special mask.
Okay.
He can put the mask on, and then he can look like a normal elf. But eventually he throws it away because he's like, come at me, racist. And through his travels, he eventually meets Brynor Battlehammer, Catti-brie, who's like 12 at the time, and, you know, he's just so in love with her. And he's
That's,
probably in his 300s at this point.
And she's 12.
She's human. She's a human. Catti-brie was raised by dwarves.
He's vaguely based on Jerry Lee Lewis. Is that the guy who had sex with his 12-year-old cousins?
Edgar Allan Poe?
No,
he
he's like
did
an
that.
old rock and roll guy, like from like the beginning of rock and roll.
Are you thinking of Elvis?
I think of Elvis.
You know, Elvis.
I think of Woody Allen, the rock star.
I don't. What? No.
Is he like? He's basically Woody Allen.
Oh,
Yeah,
gross.
Drizzt is
I guess.
based
Chris,
off
I
Woody
hate him
Allen.
now.
So he does so many good deeds that his renown eventually lets him stay in an area. And then his renown lets him do this. And this takes us to the Icewind Dale trilogy, where he makes all of his new friends. Catti-brie, she's a human that was rescued by Brynor, who's a dwarf. Brynor is the leader of Clan Battlehammer, they live in the mountains by Icewind Dale, which is the north. It's cold.
Yeah.
It's shivery. There's Regis Rumblebelly, which I forget his last
Best name. I love it.
Yeah, that's not his real name. That's his nickname.
But Regis is also a good name.
Regis is a good name, too.
Yeah.
He makes what's called a
He's
scrimshaw out of the bones of a fish that are found in Icewind Dale. And that's for wizards, to do some sort of wizard-ass wizard shit. We have Wulfgar, who's like the female category because he doesn't...
Guy's a boy.
Excuse me. So his category is a girl, so it's like two negatives make a positive. Wulfgar, he's a...
Women are negative.
Yeah,
Yeah, what the hell?
because Lolth.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Me either. So, Brynor fights against the clans of... The clans get all stirred up. They get all riled up by these bad wizards. And that's how, basically, Wulfgar gets knocked out. And Brynor accepts him into the fold. And then you got them all together. They go on their adventures. They take back Mithril Hall. Brynor dies, but he's not dead. Regis Rumblebelly becomes the leader of a giant thieves guild. They meet Artemis and Trary, who's a badass, and then turns out that Regis comes back.
Regis comes back.
Yeah, because he's in Calimport.
Oh.
And unfortunately, guys, Drizzt kisses Catti-Brie. Now she's much older now.
She's not 12.
She's not 12. She's probably
grown person.
like 19 or 20.
Oh boy.
And
Okay, so Jerry Lee Lewis sang "Great Balls of Fire."
okay.
Goodness gracious, Great Balls! You familiar with the song?
Yeah.
He married his 13-year-old first cousin when he was 22.
It was a different time.
No, that's bad.
You shouldn't do that.
Why do people like to marry their young cousins? Because Edgar Allan Poe also did this. He married or he was engaged to her or something. It was creepy. That's what Annabelle is about. The poem.
I don't know why they do this. Drizzt did it because he just wanted someone to talk to.
He's just so sad.
Exactly. It was so sad. And, Catti-Brie, it has the fire in her. She's kissed by fire, for one. And she's just such a little pistol.
Even the pistols don't exist in this world.
Yep. Excuse me. Regis, unfortunately, sees the kiss between Catti-Brie and Drizzt. And to make matters worse...
He's like, what's the deal? Why are you doing that? Kissing her. This is my Regis book.
That's good. I like that one.
Oh,
You like that?
that's a good
Oh, I get it.
joke.
Yes, Catti-Brie, what are you doing?
Kapookie. So, at this point, Wolfgar and Catti-Brie are engaged to be married. They don't even imply at all that they make whoopee. But they can tell that, Wolfgar just wants it bad. But Wolfgar is a Viking from the Icewind Dale people who are hella misogynistic. So...
Would he even be nice to Catti-Brie? I don't know about Wolfgar right now.
in the long one, probably. But
He's very noble.
yeah. He kind of got mad at this point. He had a lot of opinions on what women should do and who to be listened to. And Catti-Brie ain't one for having that. So, unfortunately, Regis is actually Artemis Centauri in disguise.
Oh, no.
What?
Yeah. So, Artemis Centauri hates Drizzt, wants to cause chaos, so he does that by telling Wolfgar about the kiss.
Uh-oh.
On the eve of their wedding.
Oh, shit.
Things get so crazy. Wolfgar dies. They're in
By murder?
They get attacked by the crazy remnants of Drizzt family and other dark elves and all sorts of other bad goblins and stuff like that. And a priestess of Lolth, a drow, summons what can only be described as a Yachlal, the most dreaded and feared minions of the Spider Queen herself. Yachlal is all like a giant jello monster or snot monster with teeth. Wolfgar gets eaten by this guy, but he fortunately brings down the entire cavern on top of it.
Oh, he's like Samson.
Yeah.
He dies, but he brings down the bad guys.
He's getting chewed upon by the Yachlal, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, he's dead. Let's leave." Turns out
Yachlals are gross. I'm looking at a picture.
Yeah, they're not good looking. Turns out the Yachlal takes Wolfgar with it back to its plane of hell, and Wolfgar has to be in hell for a long time, and then he comes back, becomes a drunken, angry guy, and a bouncer at the bar where he almost got in a fight, and book 2 of the Icewind Dale trilogy.
Can I just let me just interrupt for 2 seconds to say that I'm thoroughly enjoying this description right now of what's happening.
Yeah.
This is great.
And we have reached the limit of what I've read, and
so
now it's all
between.
what Wikipedia. There's mad drams about these orcs. There's mad drams about the what is it, Spellscar? And Drizzt has some side with
he's got a side piece.
With this lady Elastirel of
So wait a
Silvery
second.
Moon.
Wait a second. Catti-Brie is alive?
At this point, yeah,
So
they end up getting married, and then they have Cess, and then I think she dies.
Oh, she dies. Okay, so I was gonna say he did all of this mess. He kissed Catti-Brie, and Wolfgar died, and all this crap, and then he goes to someone else.
Right. Well,
shitty.
he's traveling again a long time, and then he comes back to her, and they eventually get married. But I think Catti-Brie gets spell scarred, which I don't know what that means. But it's a
Whatever.
really big deal.
Was she? She wasn't like a magic user early on, right?
No, that's what happened was she couldn't. She had a badass bow, which she found in
Yeah, yeah,
Mithril
yeah.
Hall, and so it's basically a bow that shot like laser arrows, and so she was a really good archer and fighter, and then she was basically useless at those skills, so she was trained to be a wizard because she was hurt, and so she couldn't do anything.
Oh, so she's like, I'm not cool with being useless. I'm gonna just
Yeah.
develop some other skills now.
Bruner has come back, by the way. He's alive. He's like a Gandalf situation where he falls down on the back of a burning dragon and he survives by like climbing.
I think more like a Yukon Cornelius.
Yukon. Tim, do
He
you?
does look like him. I don't know if the burning of Yukon Cornelius.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. He climbs out of the pits of the Mithril Hall. He's like bitten 1,000 times by spiders. It's terrible for him. But eventually, everyone dies. Wolfgar becomes a noble warrior. He lives for a really long time. Bruenor, I think, probably dies 2 more times.
2 more times.
Regis probably, I think, gets stronger. He uses a mace, which is interesting.
Regis does.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Cadbury is the most complicated besides Drizzt because she becomes a wizard. So that's why in this book she can do wizard shit.
So see, there's some precedent for changing your class
Mm-hmm.
midway through a campaign.
And here's the other thing, like
Like a Ludra.
a lot of these books are Deus Ex Machina, but it's only because there's like gods moving strings here and there. Like in the early Drizzt books, they really set up the fact that the most powerful houses in the Drow society in Menzoberranzan is whoever has the favor of Lolth. So she's a god, a goddess, excuse me. So whoever is favored by the gods is stronger. Mielikki favored Drizzt and Co. Therefore, they became really strong.
Yeah.
So sometimes it seems like, oh, this is bullshit. They died and coming back, but it's really just like a goddess felt bad for some humans and they fixed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then
So that's
Drizzt,
where we are, right?
yeah, then Drizzt might marry another elf and something.
well, but then like the company Wizards of the Coast wanted to move the timeline forward a few hundred years, which
Yeah.
which is actually a thing that really happened when they like went to 4th edition. They switched the timeline up for a few hundred years,
Yeah.
and R.A. Salvatore had to
He's like,
think his way out of that box.
how do I fix it?
We'll
Well,
live a long time, but these other people don't.
Yeah. Especially if they're like
So-
undead in a plane of torment. You know, you get those times back, I guess. I don't know.
so that kind of brings us to the book.
Now, yeah, there's that long, I hope, somewhat interesting explanation of where we are.
So,
Cadbury and Regis, I think, die from the spell scar.
huh? Okay.
Yeah, I think Bruner dies by or Wolfgar gets died by getting hit in the head.
So, at the beginning of the book, like not the prologue part, but like the beginning, like first chapter or whatever, Cadbury, I guess she's been like hanging out with Mielikki,
Yeah,
and Mielikki loves her and is like, "This is my girl."
yeah.
And
She's like, yeah, you're my main number one.
you're my number one biatch, and
Yeah.
we're hanging out in the
Iradun.
Iradun, which is Mielikki's like afterlife area.
Yeah, it's like, so they kind of go through and explain all the other like places you can go when you die, and Mielikki made a special, essentially like grotto for.
Mielikki's grotto. That sounds sexual.
That's my favorite strip club. So for Regis and Cadbury when I think they died first because they got spell scarred. I think, God, I don't know. And so they've been there for a while, and it seems like to them they've only been there for a couple months. 10 days.
Yeah, something.
They say
like,
10
oh,
days
wait,
instead
instead
of
months
uh,
or weeks.
I think it's
Weeks,
10
yeah.
days, and it's like a 10-day passed.
Huh.
Their calendar is based on
tens.
very stupid.
It's in the metric system
It's a metric system
of time.
Yeah. So to them they've only been there for like a couple 10 days, but it's been a couple 100 years. And Drizzt is in a really bad way. And slowly but
Because
surely.
he's sad, or because
No, he gets hurt.
Okay.
Yeah, he gets beat up at the end of like one of the last books. Because he fights like Wraith Kings and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's generally a bad idea.
Yeah.
to do on your own.
So that's where we meet Drizzt in the beginning of this. Is he's like, ow, and he's just been walking for like 6 months, and he finds himself back where he first kind of met the group. It's like called Kelvin's Cairn, and that's where he like lived for a while. So yeah, here we are at the part we've all read.
Yeah.
Right. So like suddenly everyone I guess meets up in
The afterlife.
what's her name? Mielikki?
Mielikki.
Mielikki's.
God, please help us. We're so bad at
I have no
pronouncing
idea.
things. I'm gonna say Mielikki because I feel like that sounds right, but I have no idea. Yeah, they're in her like afterlife area.
And everyone's kind of confused, and then after they're confused, they're pissed.
Yeah, like
Yeah, like-
Wolfgar, he basically says, "I was doing this. I was an old man. Why did you do this like that? I got hit in the head. Owie." And Wolfgar like tries to even leave. He
like runs, and they're like, "Don't go
Don't
to the
do that.
forest." And he has this, like inside of his head, where he has this thing where they're giants, and they crush him, they throw him to the ground, and smash him.
Yeah, and
then
he
like,
basically
goes back.
he goes inside of a baby, and either the baby yells Tempest, and implies that they can't talk inside their baby form, but he probably does something really really strange.
Does something not baby-like and
Yeah.
freaks the people out,
And
and
so
they crush the
him
baby's skull
to death.
Yeah, like that's unnatural.
Which, I mean, I would probably want to, maybe take that a little easier when you're, the midwife.
Like immediately, listen,
Like,
your
I'd
baby,
like to look at this one.
your baby is some freaky shit, and I just killed it.
This was
Sorry.
a genius baby. I think you shouldn't have killed him.
This is a baby genius, like
Yeah.
in the movie Baby Genius.
That's my favorite movie.
Mom and Dad would have been like, "What? Wait, hold on."
Why did
Hey,
you
man.
murder my child?
We don't know what he was gonna say. He's like,
Oh, listen, that baby was a demon.
That
Like,
that's a demon
100%.
baby. This is bad. And I think even Wolfgar's like, he did what was right. He should have
Yeah,
done that.
I was freaky.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I did not enjoy being inside. Well, you didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah.
And then, Caddy Breeze explained.
Caddy Bree, who walks around, dances, and sings because she can't help it. Because she's kind of lost her mind. And she's
forgot
like
about that.
so in tune with Mielikki.
She's having the time of her fucking life.
Because they'll like explain them all talking, and then Caddy Bree will just be walking through the woods, singing a song that no one knows, speaking in tongues essentially, and just dancing. And while she's doing it, just shit is growing everywhere. Because I think Mielikki's roughly like a nature spirit, kind of.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know.
Yeah. No, totally.
So
Yeah, but Mielikki's not there.
No.
It's Caddy Bree explaining.
yeah, Caddy Bree's like the conduit.
Being like, listen, Mielikki is my BFF, and this is what she told me is gonna happen.
Yeah, and you know who Mielikki loves? Drizzt.
Drizzt.
Riz.
And I guess because Drizzt is having a hard time, Mielikki wants to help him out. And she feels the best way to do this is by sending his BFFs back into the world of the living. But to do that, they have to go in as little tiny babies again.
Right, and so the rule is, you're gonna be the same gender, the same race, but you have to be a baby. So
obviously new people because it's been a couple 100 years.
yeah, so they're essentially completely re-rolling characters, but they're allowed to, bring in their knowledge. So I think that's probably personally my favorite part of the book, is just dealing with their brain. Is that Mielikki?
I'm looking at pictures of Mielikki. She looks awesome.
She looks sexy
She
as
has
hell.
antlers on her head. Mm-hmm. I'm into it.
And so they have to try to remember, when did I learn how to crawl?
Right, yeah, well, Caddy Bree was talking about that in her chapter. She's like, I was not ever around children in my life, so I don't know what's normal. And her trying to, do sneaky stuff, when her parents were asleep. I need to practice and get strong and
Yeah,
find information out. So she'd, go crawl out of her crib in the middle of the night.
So it, makes it sound like she does push-ups as, a 1-year-old kid when She climbs out of her crib and she's like just pumping her iron, making
She
sure her shit's good.
also leaves like her camp and goes and makes an awesome garden behind some rocks for Mielikki.
Yeah. Well, and they're also nomads, so it sounds like there's several of these things.
Yeah.
And lions and shit won't eat her.
Yeah, like no, because she's blessed by Mielikki. But it's just funny like to read her chapters though, because they're like, you know, she's trying to play with children, and they're doing this like whole like ritual with, because it's raining, because they live in the desert and there's mud and they're all throwing mud on each other, and she's basically just like, this is humiliating and terrible.
I'll do this because I like my dad.
My dad and mom are nice, but this is the worst. I'm an adult inside of this 6-year-old body.
That is a weird part of it. Like, as you know, being a parent, it would be very crushing to like be like, my baby that I raised. Oh, no, it's not my baby. It's actually somebody else's baby.
Yeah, and it's like you're talking shit about your baby who is right there. But so like Bruner's section is really interesting because he's kind of like,
I really like this section.
Oh yeah, that was super interesting.
Because
number one, let's talk about the one thing I want to talk about.
Beards.
Well, that's not what I was going to say.
The giant titty.
The giant dwarf titty. That Bruner, like, that's like the giant boob coming towards his face. I laughed so hard when I read that.
I was like, I'm back in. Yes, this book rules.
I think I was on the train when I was reading that, and I just was so happy about it. But yeah, like, so again, with the whole thing of like, how do you act when you're a child? Like, he's holding back and he's bored, like fighting these other. So you know, he does the like, these children have to learn to be fighters, and they're all like, oh man, he's like not so good at this.
Right.
And he's like, what the heck?
Well, also they mention his pact with like the 1,000 arrow orcs, whatever they're called.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, they don't turn to the sun and be like, you did bad for making this treaty. They're like, that Bruner Battlehammer was a real piece of shit.
And he's like, oh, I can hear that.
Oh, that's me.
I'm a baby.
And I think he actually starts crying, and they're like, eat titty. And he's like,
yeah, that is what happens. And there's like some other time when like someone's in the room and they're talking and he wants to see who it is, but he's a baby, so he can't like move his head, and he's like, oh, this is terrible.
And it's both them in their head mixed with like freaking out baby stuff, but they can't control themselves.
Like they have all the baby urges, like they can't like, you know, control their bowels or anything.
Right, and they're hungry.
That's the part that I found like super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the times where they get frustrated, they just start crying, and then they can't move they're like, I think he punches himself in the head at one point because he can't control his arms.
God, babies are stupid.
It's stupid.
Babies are pretty stupid,
Yeah. So Bruner is like a son of a dope ass like captain of the guard kind of.
Yeah, and his dad was
like,
the captain of the guard.
Yeah. Like generations and generations of captains of guards.
Yeah.
And his dad dies.
Like early on,
and his mom is a shield maiden, another part Jennifer.
I love that. Dwarf ladies, hells yeah.
Yeah, because it's talking about her giving. Obviously, the reason why we're doing this in the feed and not doing it is because it gives us a better insight on the cultures and you know, the Forgotten Realms stuff.
But it talks about her, like, she gives birth, and, like, shortly thereafter is like, all right, I have to get back to my sword fighting now.
But I gotta start training and shit.
Yeah. But also, she's like, all right, here, baby, here's my boob for milk. Yeah. Also, I'm a sword maiden. It makes me happy. Yeah. I loved it a lot. Yeah. Apparently, Tim tells me that dwarf ladies do have beards in this world.
Okay. Oh, I forgot an awesome part. Okay, so they mentioned this first person, something Puent. Phenobel Puent. He's what's called a battle rager, and he's the only other. He's like the very last surviving battle rager, I think, and he's also another of the very last people that fled Mithril Hall, because Mithril Hall, that's where Bruner was born, and same with this guy Puent. I forget his name, but what happens is they have these razor armor with spikes and shit, and all they do is they drink this insane like liquor, and then they run at their enemies, jump on them, hug them, and just thrash around.
Why?
Because their armor is because, you know, dwarves are small, so what they want to do is get like any part of them as a weapon. and all his shit is like rusty metal, and he smells terrible. He says how, it's like, son, why do you want to marry Catti-brie? She doesn't even have a luscious beard. So, but he's also dirty and gross, so maybe only dirty and gross dwarf ladies have beards. I don't know.
It doesn't mention it. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll find out. As we continue to read,
I think his story is interesting because I think he helps kill Brunor or something like that because he turns into a vampire.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, who? Brunor turns into a vampire?
No.
Oh,
this
that guy
Quint
does.
character who was a friend of theirs that helped them.
I'm trying to find his
Regis-
name. I can't find it.
It's something Pwent.
I'm looking
P-W-E-N-T.
I'm looking it up. I can't see
I
it.
think. He's a battle ranger. I don't know. Whatever. So, I don't know what I was saying anymore.
We were talking about.
Your beards. The
talking
battle
about beards.
beards.
So I guess we'll have to find out.
Yeah, hopefully.
Thibbledorf Pwent
Yeah,
is his name.
he's my main man.
I'm going to look up.
I mean, I'm assuming that some dwarves have beards and others don't.
Yeah, that's like in the real world. Some,
Yeah.
there's some.
This guy, he was all. I'm looking on the wiki.
Yeah.
He was also known for never having ever taken a bath and had an odor so foul that even other dwarves avoided standing too close to him.
Yeah, and it implies that he never takes his armor off.
That's gross.
Yeah, he's a dirty bad man.
I do not enjoy that.
Yeah,
But
but he's dead.
So we talked a little bit. We talked about Brunor and we talked about Catti-brie, but also I thought Regis's story was super interesting too.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's that about?
So
That'd be
I guess
sad.
he's it was depressing as hell.
He lives in
Like
the slums.
so it
of
sounded like
somewhere.
he was like lives in a slum with his dad. I guess his mom died giving birth to him. Because it talks about that was so cool. Because like you're getting his viewpoint while he's in the womb and like attempting to get out, and he can like hear what's going on, and he's trying to get out, but it's not working.
Oh yeah, then she don't they
And
cut open?
Yeah, they cut him out,
Ugh.
and she dies.
Yeah.
But then like his dad seems like poor, but also like super sad because his wife's gone.
Yeah,
It's
and,
like-
and maybe blaming him a little bit.
Yeah, and then you're getting this viewpoint where he takes Regis down to the docks, and Regis is like, "Oh, he's drowning me," because he pushes him under the water. But then Regis finally realizes, I'm not drowning. Actually, I'm totally fine. What's up with
what
that?
was that? That was really weird.
Well, and he says that he takes after his mom, so it's something on the mom that died side that he could.
Right.
breathe
But he
underwater.
is like a halfling, right?
I feel like halflings should be able to hold their breath for a really, really, really long time.
But not breathe underwater.
Right.
No, so maybe he's halfling, but something else too.
He's part mermaid.
Something. I don't know.
Something.
There
Does it say that he's breathing water or he doesn't need to breathe?
I think he doesn't need to breathe. Like,
It's very weird.
Yeah, maybe there's a sect of, like, an offshoot of halflings that don't, whatever, because they're like the river people. It describes him being in his crib, like, covered in, like, fleas and stuff
yeah,
like
it's
that.
just so
and bugs
sad.
just crawling all over him.
It was just
like-
interesting compared to both Brunor and Catti-brie, like whose parents like love them a lot,
Right.
And like take care of them, and then he's like basically like completely neglected.
Right, because, while Brunor is lower in the caste system of the Dwarven culture, he still has a pretty cool thing. But, he is not nearly as cool. But yeah, actually, Regis is the one. Regis starts to work out because he was always the weakest. So he's like, I don't want to be the worst. So he basically trained from a young age, and he's like, it's gonna take they knew they had to meet in like 21 years at the spot.
Right? Yeah, that was explained earlier by Catti-brie.
Yeah. And-
Mielikki told him. They
Yeah,
to do that.
and they're like, you can either go to each of your ancestral afterlives, or you can be reborn to help Drizzt.
Oh yeah, and that's when Wolfgar's like, "Fuck off,
Deuces!
I'm going to my afterlife."
Yeah, I'm
Bye-bye.
going to Battle Heaven, whatever it's called.
Everyone else
Right.
don't care.
He's the only one who's like, peace out.
Yeah. And so he walks. It's like you walk in this thing, and he's like, you can either go here, or you can go here, because some of you did so good that you're welcome a couple heavens. And he's like, fuck you, I'll go do this. This is where I need to be. Because he has he has children, he has wives and stuff like that.
Multiple wives?
I think some died because he
Oh.
lived for a long time. Yeah. So yeah, that is kind of like the gist. But there's also this other thing going on of like these people trying to kill Catti-brie inside of her child body. So I have no idea what's going on with that.
Yeah, well, we don't know yet, I
me
think.
either.
Yeah, that sounds like that's going to be the.
Because how would they know? I mean,
It was prophesied. It sounded like.
Oh, I know what it was. Okay, I was looking at the article, but it was mentioned in the book. So Regis's mother has water. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Ganassi blood.
Ganassi. That's right. Yeah.
That's what it is. So that's why.
I think it's Ganassi, but I'm not sure.
That's the whole. I don't know how to pronounce anything ever.
Yeah.
And he can hold his breath. So he can hold his breath. It's not that he can breathe water. He can just hold his breath for a while.
Yeah, and I think those guys are like super elemental people.
Yeah, I actually looked at them when I was considering.
Yeah, I made
a
a
second character.
Sam. I made one for funsies.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty much where we are. Like they're all. Someone's after Caddy Bree.
Yeah, and Caddy Bree
For some reason.
has to use her magic to help save her mom.
Yeah.
And...
Oh yeah, she like brings her mom back to life basically. Because the people like come and attack their camp, right?
Yeah.
And she like makes a thunderstorm happen and does a lot of badass magics. If she's 6 years old, and her parents are like, "What's going on?" She's like, "Listen, thank you so much for raising me up until this point, but I have to leave now. I'm not really your kid. Sorry about all that." And they're just like, "What the hell is happening?
Like,
you
let
can't
me start
go out
singing
there.
and dancing again.
You're gonna get eaten by a lion." She's like, "No, I'm good. I'm
No,
fine.
check this shit out.
I'm totally fine."
Yeah. And she ends up killing the first two characters we meet, which is kind of funny. Those two guys are like, "Nope, dead now. Sorry." So, I mean, Thrifty knows what happens next.
I know a little bit, but not much.
Yeah.
They continue to be children.
I want the entire book to be children.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all that happens in this first little part because we just read.
Yeah, it's just a very
the
setup,
yeah.
setup-y stuff.
I enjoyed it. I want to read more.
I can't wait to jump back in.
And now I can because we.
Yay! Now I can read more.
Yeah.
So the next thing you hear may be more of this, or it may be something else. But we will return to more book club soon, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Each book club, I think we're only going to do 5 or 6. Let me really quick. Yeah, there are.
Maybe we should explain.
There are 4 parts, so
Okay.
we'll do 4 episodes of this. In each chunk will be 4 parts, but we're gonna do every single book in the Godborn trilogy, and hopefully, the Sundering. The next one's Godborn, and just to let you guys know, we have these 2, and hopefully we'll get copies of every single book, and then we'll be able to do contests for all of them.
Just like infinite book clubs and giveaways.
Well, not infinite, Jennifer. There's only going to be 6.
As long as, what about
Forever and
get a
ever.
new one?
And then we can start Rage of Tiamat, because that's the next thing, I think.
That sounds awesome. I like it.
Yeah. So be sure to let us know, one, what you think, your own fun theories, and the comment for this episode. But also, please go back to the contest post on geekleak.com where we first announced this. And what the contest is we're saying, hey, Geek League has a lot more shows now. Just go through and leave a 5-star review and post your review in this thread. For every review you give, you get you're entered another time. So, if you haven't listened to one yet, we're not telling you to lie. So,
But if you've listened to a few of our podcasts, you can go and do reviews for each of them, and then you get 2 entries.
Exactly. So, since
we've got new stuff recently, so there may be some things you haven't listened
exactly.
to yet.
So I Am Sayer and Cthulhu and Friends are the 2 new ones. So you should definitely want to check those out, especially I Am Sayer, or it's just Sayer, excuse me.
Sayer,
Yes,
yeah.
I'm thinking of the Twitter account.
Yeah, because it's very new.
Because it's very new, so we need your support to get it on the
get it going.
rankings.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's good.
Yeah, it's good.
So I highly
Creepy and
recommend it.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that contest will go on for at least another week and a half ish, at least till like the 20th.
Of March.
Do you want to say the 20th of March right now?
2014. Whatever you're listening to this.
Yeah, March 2014, 20th, last day. Let's just say, got to pick a date. Let's just say that date.
March 20th. All right.
Beautiful.
Cool.
March 20th.
We have some random encounters feedback. I don't know if you want to read that or not. It's going to be...
Is it in the Did you put it in the Google Doc?
I just sent it to you.
It's like, is it like, why don't
It's
people
Why
like-
does
do
this
these?
exist
It's
anymore?
like durance is a thing, and
Oh boy, we have not done that in so long.
All right. Jennifer, do you want to read the reviews? You've never done
Gosh,
this.
sure, I'll do it. Okay, so the first one from Concerned Psych from the United
they're in
States.
reverse order. So
Okay, the most fun you'll ever have with a random RPG podcast. I fall into a deep depression when I don't get to listen to you. I miss you. Help me. Also, Sarah
We're
Tompkins,
back.
awesome Russian act. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, then the next one, Fluid FX from the United States. Anyone there? Hello, new episodes. We gotcha, and we are gonna be doing more game ones soon, so don't worry. Awesome Andrew Adams says, "Get back to work."
I love it.
That's funny. 8-7 Ravis? I don't understand what that means. Different
I
games
think it's
always
Travis,
great.
somehow.
Oh, I can see that. Philo Toblerone
Toblerone.
says this podcast is a fiasco. That he's saying that in a nice way. The fiasco episodes are amazing. I'd be happy if you just played that full time. Cthulhu Chocolate Monsters. And then someone with a name that I'm not gonna say that. It's a bunch of letters. OMGs! Finally listened to Game World's eps while a bunch of other podcasts are on winter break. Why did I sleep on this one for so long? Obligatory 7s. You guys rock. Next is Lucas Childs from Canada.
good day, mate.
Thank you.
I'm not doing it. Tim was trying to make me do it, and I was ignoring him. It says Bugbarians. I had way too much fun with the one-off D&D adventures with the drow and her lackeys.
Remember my, what is his name? Theric Bugbarian?
Oh my god!
Yeah, it was Derek Bugbarian.
That was great. Oh my god, I forgot about
I am
that.
funny.
And the male Danny T, I'm assuming that means Danny Targaryen, says great/hilarious podcast. Podcastingly fantastic. So much random hilarity. And her Lady Thompson has been a great addition. That's our, Sarah Thompson's, we're going to have to get her back on to
seen
do
her so
something. I
long.
know. To get her back
Ow.
on here. I hurt him. Pookie Dookie says googly moogly. Love the podcast. Great for long shifts at work. Sarah Tompkins' RP voices are super sexy. My new woman crush, besides Jennifer, of course. Sorry, Tim.
Why don't you have a woman crush on me?
Think about it.
Think about it.
And then more than 50 eggs from United States. Is that a Beauty and the Beast reference? I think that's true. Durance Part 3. Thrifty, you were robbed. To the rest, shame on you. I don't remember what we did.
I'm sure it was awful. I'm sure whatever you did to me was awful.
Probably stole your
it
eggs
probably
or something.
killed you.
Yeah.
Why would you do that to me?
That's because
You were
the world is rough there,
You're
man.
being bad, probably.
So that's our reviews. Thanks for giving us reviews, even though we have not put one of these out in a very long time.
Listen, it's extra content. Whenever there's extra
It's
content,
special.
it's good. We just wanted to make the best main feed, and we didn't have as much time.
We're busy people.
Busy
With
people.
important things to do, like watch anime.
And
A lot of anime.
Conquer Westeros.
We gotta do it. So, I think that's it for our book
Yeah.
club.
Thank you for joining us. We'll be back with more, and we're going to be more regular in the random encounters, so you can lay off.
Lay off!
Just get.
If you want to find us on Twitter, we're at Geekly Inc. or at D&D Podcast. I'm at Thrifty Nerd.
I'm at Tim Lanning.
And I'm at Jennifer Cheek.
Until next week, that was random.